Again, I want to thank you for joining us today. Any plan for any university center will only be successful if it can rely on the generous support of many other institutional collaborators, both within the university and beyond. So in that sense, your presence today for us is very meaningful. We're honored that you have chosen to join us for this afternoon. So let me begin with a brief bit of background on the Initiative for Global Development. The Initiative for Global Development, or IGD as we are more commonly called here at the university, was launched some 6 years ago as one of a number of strategic research initiatives funded by the Office of Research to address emerging global issues. We were launched to raise funds for major bilateral, multilateral companies, organizations, companies, and private donors to promote interdisciplinary research on global development themes across the university. Prior to our creation, the university raised only negligible amounts of funding from such entities in support of its ambition to be a truly global university. Since our creation, the Initiative for Global Development has grown from having a staff of 1 to having a staff of 20, to raising some $7 million annually, supporting some 40 projects on an annual basis, and managing relations with some 271 unique partnerships in some 45 countries. Over these years, it has developed a number of strong competencies in monitoring and evaluation, proposal and grant writing, partnership and grant management, training and mentoring, data management, development innovation, corporate relations, just to name a few. From very modest beginnings as a venture investment of the Office of Research, we have grown to be one of the more successful of the university's strategic research initiatives. Just last year, we underwent a major transition when we moved from the Office of Research to be one of the founding centers within the new Keough School of Global Affairs. It was this move that prompted us to begin thinking about launching a process of strategic planning. Our goal in this exercise, to put it quite simply, was to define our value-added contribution to the mission of the new Keough School of Global Affairs. Given our unique history and makeup, what actions might we take that would serve to align and strengthen this mission? To that end, we conducted an ambitious effort to interview administration, faculty, donors, partners, and other stakeholders. We conducted some 50 interviews during this process. Our goal was to assess the range of global themes already well attended to by other centers within the university, as well as to evaluate the most salient trends in global development beyond the university as the basis for defining our role, as well as selecting the domains we might focus on. The result is the plan you have before you today. I want to take a moment to thank those members of the faculty and staff who have generously given up their time to share their views on the state of the world and on some of our various drafts of this document. Your comments were very instrumental in enabling us to go through a very elaborate process, I think some 21 drafts to be precise. But let me now turn to the content. Critical to any strategic plan is the answer to the question, what is our purpose, vision, and mission? This is without a doubt the most challenging part of this exercise. We spent a good deal of time looking at lots of different formulations before arriving at these two simple formulations. So our vision statement: to enhance dignity, equity, and well-being for the world's poorest and most vulnerable populations by addressing today's most compelling global issues. Probably the most differentiating feature of the Keough School of Global Affairs is our commitment to integral human development, which in its simplest terms signifies a commitment to the world's poorest and most vulnerable. While this might seem like the mission statement of any serious development organization, there are a few that dedicate themselves to this kind of project fully in practice, but rather assume that the benefits of their work will naturally flow to the poor as a secondary effect. At Keough, we are seeing that the poor and the vulnerable are at the center of all we do and all we advocate for. In that sense, we align with the core of Catholic social teaching and such secular champions of human development as Amartya Sen. It signifies to us our fundamental commitment to building human capabilities and agency and to forms of development that are originated and owned by citizens and communities rather than by donors and technocrats. Our mission flows naturally our vision flows naturally, from our stated mission. We shall work to address global poverty and inequality through policy, practice, and partnership. With this vision statement, we are making a clear commitment to focus on poverty and inequality. While there are a variety of centers around the university that touch upon poverty from a pedagogical and experiential perspective, there's really none that is devoted to viewing it from the perspective of practice and policy. We are choosing to play that role. Increasingly, many of the gains that have been made in addressing poverty are being wiped out by growing inequality. Yet this is an issue that scarcely gets discussed in universities and even in policy circles, because it requires some serious questions about economic and social policy that for many are hard to confront. We feel that today to address poverty and to ignore inequality is morally and intellectually irresponsible. And if this question should be addressed anywhere, it should be at a premier Catholic university. And I believe it's fair to say that Pope Francis, in his work and in his writings, has given us a license to do just that. Such work will take us deep into a range of important social and economic policy questions. From our very inception, the Initiative for Global Development has been a very practice-focused institution within the university. Our core work has been in the field of aid effectiveness, conducting monitoring and evaluation exercises on behalf of AID and other funders, as well as international NGOs and corporate partners. Our work in the last few years, however, has moved beyond evaluation and training to innovation and implementation. As we have entered these new domains, we have built strong partnerships with organizations like Catholic Relief Services, who are with us today. In the field of development today, it is taken for granted that no one organization has the answer to the complex challenges of the 21st century, and that we must all work across institutional boundaries to achieve the best outcomes. We see our role at IGD as stewards of a diverse range of partnerships for the benefit of faculty and students, and as a means for the University of Notre Dame to engage as a humble partner in the world of addressing the most pressing problem. So what shall be the domains in which we shall seek to work? We thought long and hard about this and made our choices based on several criteria. We first looked to see what areas were core to a poverty and inequality agenda and were being well attended by other centers within the school or the university, and which were not. Second, we asked ourselves what issues lined up well with our core staff competencies. And third, what areas would enable us to build on established partnerships and enable us to advance creative initiatives in key policy and practice areas. We arrived at a decision to focus on this first goal in building research excellence on poverty and inequality, establishing our presence in key policy fora on basically 5 major domains. On sustainability, humanitarianism, effective states and development, business and development, and global health. And why these 5? Just a few comments on each one. On sustainability. Every university in the world today should be laser focused on sustainability, given what we know about the existential threat posed by climate change. More importantly, we already know and have seen that the effects of climate change are going to hit the poor and most vulnerable earliest and hardest. We're running out of time on this issue, and we need to redouble our efforts to advance both mitigation and adaptation agendas across the world. Universities have a vital role to play in this space. On humanitarianism, the Humanitarian Summit of the United Nations in 2016 made it crystal clear that the world is facing a global humanitarian crisis and that we need to rethink the entire approach to humanitarianism. The current global system is stretched to the breaking point and is dramatically underfunded at a time when we have the largest number of refugees in the world since World War II, some 65 million. We need to move away from a UN-driven system toward building national capacity of first responders at the national level. We envision our work on this humanitarian challenge being an excellent complement to the peace-building work of the Kroc Center, and we look forward to collaborating with them as we develop our work in this area. On effective states and development. Aid effectiveness is at the heart of what we have been working on for the last 5 years and is at the center of debates on development in a world of diminishing aid finance. The dollars must go farther and be more wisely spent. But also, there's a growing assumption that recipient countries must now step up and improve their governance and begin to mobilize domestic resources for development, and that citizens must begin to hold their governments more accountable for development outcomes, and that donors must coordinate better and be more transparent about the expenditure of their funds. Within civil society across the globe, there are a whole new set of institutional actors within and outside government that are advancing these agendas. We anticipate working with these new players on precisely these policy and practice questions. On business and development, we are witnessing the end of the foreign aid era. Foreign aid as a percent of foreign direct investment has fallen to 8%, while private sector foreign direct investment in developing countries is at 92% and rising. The market and the private sector will increasingly be setting the opportunity horizon for the poor over the coming decades. The Initiative for Global Development has been in dialogue with companies about these issues since its inception. And given the new realities, it only makes sense for us to advance these efforts within the Keough School of Global Affairs with a development focus. And finally, on global health. Health is a major determinant of well-being in most of the poorest countries in the world. Most of our government and the INGO partners that operate very large health and nutrition programs. The U.S. government's largest aid investments today are in the health sector. We feel this is a field in which Notre Dame has an emerging but still underdeveloped interest. We are anticipating working in a complementary fashion with our colleagues in the X Center for Global Health to build the capacity of the university to be a serious actor in this space, not only in the sciences, but also in the operational and service delivery side of this work. Our second goal, to build a curricular specialization in development practice and offer experiential learning for leadership and professional placement. For us, perhaps the most exciting side of our move to the Keough School of Global Affairs is our ability today to contribute actively to the academic mission of the university. In our new role, we enjoy a mandate from the dean to develop and teach new courses, offer students research opportunities here at Notre Dame and overseas, and sponsor training institutes for development professionals from the U.S. and abroad. Over the last 5 years, we've been bringing both African and Latin American professionals to campus for short-term training programs in entrepreneurship as well as monitoring and evaluation. We now anticipate the possibilities of expanding these kind of programs to perhaps include such areas as leadership, aid effectiveness, and social change. We could envision the creation of a summer institute to advance this agenda. Most importantly, our ability to hire professors of practice in teaching and research will enable us to offer a wider range of course options on the campus while creating a wider and deeper set of policy and practice partnerships beyond the campus, all to the wider benefit of the Keough School of Global Affairs and the wider university. Our third goal, build and manage an extensive network of global partnerships to take Notre Dame research to the front lines of development policy and practice. Currently, as I said earlier, the Initiative for Global Development manages some 271 unique partnerships across some 45 countries. At the risk of being somewhat immodest, I would venture to say that this may be the largest portfolio of active partnerships managed by any one center within the university. We see these relationships as a critical asset for us and for the university in building bridges for Notre Dame that Notre Dame will need to establish in order to build itself as a critical public actor in the development space. Managing this level of partnerships requires systems and ongoing stewardship. This is a skill that we have cultivated within the Initiative for Global Development and built up over the last half-decade, and we're prepared to put it at the service of the school and other centers. So this is a summary. This summary is an overview of our plan. We think it's clear, straightforward, and focused in terms of vision, mission, goals, and potential impact. We've already developed metrics against which we want to measure progress against our goals and look forward to beginning full implementation in January. We imagine, as is the case with any strategic plan, that the combination of events and opportunities will cause us to reevaluate our direction and work on an annual basis and to make appropriate course corrections. But we also feel strongly that this document sets a secure and certain course for us that we are well prepared to implement. Before turning to our panelists for their remarks, I would like to recognize and thank Michael Schweiker, who has led the Initiative for Global Development through these first 5 years, and is really the person responsible for the significant level of accomplishment that we've achieved and those statistics that I've cited. And I'd also like to thank and acknowledge our staff, who has fully supported this planning process over the last year. So with that, I'd like to conclude my remarks, and I'd like to invite Dean Appleby to the podium to offer comments on the plan. So thank you all very, very much.